Today we're going to make a batch of beer. Now there's three basic ways to make beer. You can do the all grain method, which requires significant investment and equipment and space. But the biggest problem with that is you're boiling the mash and you've got to cool it down, so you need a chiller. The second method is with a concentrate. Usually you come in a bucket like this, or Cooper's another one, comes in a tin. And you mix that with a bit of water, boil it, and then you add water to cool it down. And that works well, but the method I have requires no boiling, no cooling down, no equipment except buckets, carboy, and hoses. I'll show you what I'm using. I use a product called FESTA Brew. This is 23 liters of wort in a box. I've got four here. I've got the Oatmeal Stout, which is what we're going to do today. I've got the Pilsner, I've got the Blonde Lager, and a Pale Ale. And because it's a bag in a box, don't use a knife. Just poke at it with your hands and get that tape off. And this is what it looks like. And I'll show you how I get it out. This thing weighs 55 pounds, so it's not easy. And here's my trick. Put it on its side. Slide it out. And then it goes here. And then at the bottom is the yeast, the instructions, and the yeast. The Oatmeal Stout is actually an ale. We're using an ale yeast, and always check the expiry date. Yes, this is how I empty the bag into the bucket. The height on the toilet is just right. Don't forget to sanitize. Anything that's in contact with the unfermented beer, the wort, has to be sanitized. So just in case this touches, sanitize all this as well. The beer kit that you buy will not come with this tool, but it's very handy to remove the top off of this. Pick it up so that when you take the top off, you don't spill anything. And now, move the bucket to where it's going to sit for a week and pitch the yeast. And with your sanitized stirrer, get all that floating yeast wet. Now they do say in the instructions that you should proof the yeast first, but I've done over 120 batches of beer and I've never proofed the yeast. Why proof it in water? It wants to proof in the beer, so let it proof in the beer, right? There we go. So make sure all that yeast that's sitting on the top, on the foam, is in contact with the water, with the wort. And that's it. And if you wanted to, you can give it a good stir now, because again, aeration at this stage is desirable, but not any time after this. Aeration after this is to be discouraged. Now at this point, you could put in your hygrometer and your thermometer and take readings every day. I have the aquarium type thermometer on the side, so I don't need to do that on this one. but it's fun to monitor the progress when you're first starting, and I'll show you what I used to do. I used to graph the temperature and the gravity, and you can see how as the days go on the gravity drops. FESTA Brew gives you the starting gravity and the final gravity for each batch of beer. The lid should be sanitized as well, because if that beer does happen to ferment like crazy, it will foam up and it will touch the bottom of the lid. So sanitize the inside of the lid. Ta-da! And now you just sit back and wait a week. To recap, step 2 is siphoning or racking the beer from the primary fermenter into the secondary fermenter. And let's have a look. Oh yeah, it's ready. You can tell because when it's fermenting, there's a lot of foam on the top. Now the foam has all collapsed, and you can see the layer here, so that means it's done. Everything's been sanitized, of course. There we go. Ready to bottle and keg the oatmeal stout. Everything's been sanitized, but first we have to add the priming sugar. The minute you pick up the wand, it stops pouring. There's a little tip at the end. The cap's been sanitized. There's no need to make any fancy labels. Old business cards work great, and one for the keg too.